So Disney decided to release a movie that would have probably been better off being released at around Halloween time. Instead, we got it in the summer. That movie is Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is a movie based off of one of Disney's theme park rides, much like Jungle Cruise and Pirates of the Caribbean. But this one is not even the first time they did a Haunted Mansion movie. It's the second, and for some reason I had always thought that this 2023 version was going to have Eddie Murphy in it, and I don't know why. The reason why is because in the early 2000s version, Eddie Murphy was in it. So, yeah. Spoiler alert, Eddie Murphy's not in this movie. But Haunted Mansion is a very interesting story that really quite intrigued me. I was very invested in the story, but I do have a lot of issues that I will get down to in expectations and experience. But the story is pretty simple. It is about this mom and her kid move into this house, and then they have to try to quell the spirit that is haunting said house. Or should I say mansion, because it is a haunted mansion movie after all. Haha, I'm so funny. But the story is actually pretty well built, except it's pretty much your typical exorcism story, except it's got way more twists and turns that I actually think are less interesting than a typical exorcism film. But in order to keep it fairly vague, the story is passable. It's good for what it is, but it's nothing to seek out because there are better versions of the story. So I'll have to give it a Hot Pocket score because I'm not really willing, it was good for what it was. It's just that I was expecting that premium grade stuff, you know? It didn't blow me away. Cinematically, this had a lot of really good scenes and sequences that I really enjoyed, and it was a funny movie, although I think I do have some issues with it being extremely funny, but that's for a different issue overall. It is a Disney movie, and for a Disney movie the jokes do kind of land very often, and more often than not, at least in my opinion. It landed with a lot of my friends who were seeing the movie. A lot of sequences, the CGI was pretty good. Visually, it was very breathtaking to watch. I really enjoyed a good chunk of it. And so, you know what? I'll give it a hand grenade score here. The cinematics were very explosive, very entertaining, truly contributed to a good cinematic experience. The directing, I do have one particular issue with the directing, and that is just randomly in the movie, it changes to this handheld, shaky cam horror movie feel for no reason for 2 scenes, and it really just threw me off and kind of made it seem like they didn't have a direct vision. If the movie was mostly like that shaky cam handheld scene that we have seen before in other horror movies, I'd be more interested. But it swapped from normal movie to ooh, shaky, and there wasn't even much going on for that shaky to happen, which kind of threw me off and left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth at that point, and then I was just kind of confused because it never happened again. So I'll have to be a little iffy on that. I'm gonna give it a Hot Pocket score because I just wasn't blown away by it. I was hoping for a little more, and I didn't get much. Next off, we have the acting, and I do have to say that the acting is where this movie kind of shines. I really enjoyed Owen Wilson and Danny DeVito's performance. To be fair, those two can be in any movie, and I will think that they did a great job. I think they're just two actors who consistently bring their A game and consistently are very funny. Another actor who I was really shocked to see in this film was Lakeith Stanfield. It just really hit me like a ton of bricks when I saw him just show up. I wasn't expecting him to be in this movie, mostly because the marketing really, I didn't see much marketing for this movie. Every time I went to the theaters, the only thing I saw for this movie was the State Farm ad, so I knew for a fact Rosario Dawson was in this movie, who did a pretty good job. But I got surprised when the credits started, when they started showing, oh yeah, here's who's in this movie, and then Tiffany Haddish's name shows up, and I'm like, really, she's in this too? And Jamie Lee Curtis, and unfortunately Jared Leto. I don't know. He always gives too much or too little in every role I've seen him in, and it kind of just puts me off. In this one, you can hardly recognize it's him, so he puts too much in this role, but it's not too bad, luckily. I don't know. He has that kind of demanding screen presence, and he takes it a bit too far every once in a while. But yeah, every actor actually did a really good job with their roles. I do also especially like Chase Dillon, who did a pretty good job. There was a twist, and he did a really good job of selling it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for that. Yeah, I guess I'll give it a hand grenade score for the acting. It was very explosive and dynamic. And now let's talk about my expectations and experience. I didn't have many expectations, but the first few minutes of the movie set me up for failure, personally. I think that the biggest issue with this movie is the tonal inconsistency, as it neither leaned in, it didn't lean into the goofy enough for me to forgive all of the very emotional scenes being undercut with jokes. And like a lot of the, since it's like more horror based because it's a haunted mansion, I was like, the scary bits were what I found more interesting, and those thriller aspects of the film and the supernatural aspects is what I really liked. But then it would all be ruined by a pretty like meh, like it would be ruined by a joke, which was a pretty good joke, but it made me feel pretty meh due to the feel of the movie that they had. And that is like my main issue. And then I was talking to this, and then one of my friends who I saw this film with immediately talked about how the Pirates of the Caribbean are the same way, and I'm like, but I feel a different way towards those than I do for this. And that's because when I watch the Pirates of the Caribbean, it always feels like it leans into the goofy nature of it more often, and like it embraces its goofiness, rather than this one, which goes serious, goofy, goofy, serious, serious, goofy. And that is my biggest issue with the film. It is a bit tonally inconsistent. And I was the only one who found a real issue with it. All my other friends enjoyed it more than I did, but I just had a bit of an issue with that tonal inconsistency, as sometimes a movie earns the right to be tonally inconsistent, and sometimes it doesn't. This one did not for me. So my expectations were a little bummed out due to the fact that the movie, at the beginning of the movie, really set up my expectations for the rest of it. But yeah, I do have to say that it's really weird how the only piece of marketing I saw for this movie was the State Farm ads before movie theaters. Like, I never saw a full trailer for this, and it's kind of weird because you would assume that you would want to sell your movie better. And so, but yeah, what's even weirder is that I just now remembered that the State Farm ad for Haunted Mansion played before Haunted Mansion, so it was telling us to go see a movie that we're already seeing. Very weird. I just had to say that before because it was driving me insane. But other than that, I'll give the expectations and experience a Hot Pocket score. I was hoping for a little more, gonna be honest, or a little more anything. The experience was fine, but like, it wasn't as good of an experience as the, like, let's say a Barbie movie was a killer experience, the Oppenheimer movie killer experience. Really not living up to the standards of what I hope for in an experience-driven movie. Other than so, in conclusion, this is going to be a certified Hot Pocket movie. Definitely worth checking out at least once, but then you're probably set for the rest of your time, and then occasionally you're going to forget about this movie, and then you're going to rewatch it. So, other than that, leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment down below if you've seen this movie, or if you're planning on checking it out, and if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe, if you haven't already. And other than that, I'll leave you guys to it.